What a story. Let's talk about it. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Movie Emporium's movie review of One Life, the newest film from director James Hawes. So the story of One Life is a story about a character or an individual, a real life person named Nicholas Winton, who is played an older self by, of course, Anthony Hopkins, and is played by a younger self by Johnny Flynn, who was an individual during the onset of what would end up becoming World War II, of traveling. He's a banker. He ends up traveling to Czechoslovakia with his friend Trevor, who's played by Alex Sharp, and basically learns, with the help of some other people, about how to save not whole families, unfortunately. It's very devastating to listen to and hear about, but to rescue Jewish children. And in the process of everything in this story, in this real true event, he and the crew that was around him were able to save 669 lives, and therefore he became one of the most important unfortunately, he didn't really become recognized till 1988, but one of the most important humanitarians in the history of the war, the ability to save these children. And this is kind of his story, and it's kind of how he did it with the people around him and how he ended up getting recognized and so on and so forth. And of course, his wife's played by Lena Olin, and we of course see Jonathan Pryce, who is the older Trevor character. And in essence is that story of what Nicholas Winton did and how important he became for the world humanitarian society and stuff like that. So chances are, if you have Facebook or you have X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, or you see on YouTube, the story of Nicholas Winton, what most people know is through the video of him being on That's Life, where he basically is not confronted, but people that he saved, the children that he saved, are in the audience and they stand up and stuff like that. That's who Nicholas Winton was. That's if you know anything about that video at all. And so it was interesting to go into this, not completely forgetting that. I mean, forgive me for that, but you know, when I realized what the movie was about, I realized I've seen this video before. And so this movie is it's a theatrical production or a film version of his life in a lot of respects and what he did. But it's interesting because, you know, we've had many stories like this, whether it be like, of course, Schindler's List or something like that, where it tells the story of these like savior people, not really savior people, but people that save people from a very tragic situation. And so I really wanted to see this because I heard it was really good. And, you know, they had a sneak screening or whatever of it through the Regal and AMC thing. And I heard Anthony Hopkins is really good, which is nothing new. Anthony Hopkins is Anthony Hopkins. But I heard this movie was really good. So I asked for a screener. They sent me a screener, which I do appreciate. And for my honest take of this movie, it's a beautifully gorgeous, very devastating, sad, but also uplifting story of an individual who just did more than he realized. He's an individual that was very, it wasn't that he wasn't willing to accept what he did as something truly remarkable, but he was a guy who knew what he did. The ghost of the past, he'd been kind of, keeping down, type of thing, where he felt he knew he did something, but he was not really willing to admit. And it really, really shows when you watch this movie how difficult the situation was and how just powerful of a thing that Nicholas Winton did as an individual. And I just found this movie really moving. I really did. I found it really powerful stuff. And I think James Hawes and the crew really do a really nice job of compacting, but also giving the light of what he did and how beautiful it was of what he did. And you see the darkness of when the Germans finally invaded Poland and Czechoslovakia and stuff like that, when they were finally taken over, and putting the Jewish people in the Holocaust, the concentration camps. And it really is tough stuff to watch. And it does a really nice job here of just kind of injecting you into this world and just how difficult it was. Yes, they had to skip over a lot of years, a lot of time to get this movie into at least a 2-hour film. But I think it does a nice job of being very steady and very potent in the storytelling aspects. I think this is a really well told story. I think it's a very low kind of budget, like a very low budget, very quiet movie, but it also is a very powerful movie that I think deserves a lot more recognition than it's getting. And I found every part of this movie just absolutely mesmerizing to watch. I think Anthony Hopkins and Lena Olin, who play the older couple of Nicholas Winton and his wife, are fantastic. I think Johnny Flynn is fantastic. Helena Bonham Carter pops up in this movie as his mother. She's fantastic. Everybody's fantastic in this. I mean, if I had any qualms with it, maybe it could have been a little bit longer. Maybe you could have seen a little bit more. But I think watching the children being taken away from their families, hearing stories about how they would never see their families again, just watching just the nature of how difficult and how sad and brutal and uncomfortable the story was, but knowing that this is something that needs to be told, and having it do a really nice job of telling the story in its hour and 55 minutes or whatever it is. I find this movie absolutely riveting to watch. It really is a powerful movie. It's a movie that, you know, whether you can garner like the comfortability levels or not, I think it's a movie that should be watched. And I think Nicholas Winton definitely deserves. He's gotten some praise, and he's gotten, you know, he's been on 60 Minutes and stuff like that. But I still don't think a lot of people know who he is. Even on the people who are from England don't probably know who he is. And it's a story I think needs more exposure, and these stories need more exposure. And like I said, the book that he gives as kind of a donation is a book that's really powerful to look at and see, because, you know, there's still 300 and some children that were never really never really found when they searched for him. So who knows what happened to him? But in the end, like what Nicholas Winton was able to do and what this movie is able to convey, it's a really well done story. And like I said, it's really good stuff. It makes you cry when it gets close to the end, when you see how many lives he truly affected and how many generations are going to live because of him, and the horrors of what the Holocaust truly was. And I think James Hawes does a really nice job of directing this film with his writers, Lucinda Coxon and Nick Drake. I think it's just a very powerful movie. That's just how I look at it. It probably will go in my top. I mean, at this point, it's in my top 10 because I don't have very many movies in there. But I think it's definitely a movie worth an honorable mention. So with that said, that's going to be my take on One Life, the newest film starring Anthony Hopkins, about Nicholas Winton, the guy who saved 669 lives. So anyways, with that said, thank you so much for watching. Comments below. Did you see this movie? What did you think of it overall? Do you know the story of Nicholas Winton? All that good stuff. Let me know. Otherwise, thank you so much. If you like what you see on this channel, hit the subscribe button, the Joy Movie Emporium. Hit that notification bell at the top to find what's coming next. If you like this video, awesome. Hit that like button. And as always, we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.